Hey everybody! Good evening, good evening. I'm just setting myself up here. Whew. Talking to kids about the hard stuff. I was running around with my little one today. Hey everybody, welcome to Keep Six. We are here. I'm just logging into my computer. And we are here. We are live. Welcome to Keep Six, Connect the Six. Today we have a very special guest, Randy Quansah from Cujo's Kid Zone. We are talking about back to school and speaking with kids about the hard stuff. Hey everyone, welcome. You are locked in direct. I am Natasha Pennycook. I am going to be your host. I see that Randy is here. While I settle myself. Hey, Rachel, I'm here. Hey, Randy.
Hey, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you? How are
Good,
you?
good.
Good? Nice. I was just introducing everybody saying, hey, welcome to Keep Six Live. I was running around. Let me move my notes away. Hey, everybody. Welcome. How are you, Randy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I was just running around with my little one, getting supper ready and settled. And I looked at the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to hurry. You know how it is. So it kind of goes very well in our theme and our topic for today, right? We are talking here on Keep Six that we are a community organization and that we really help those who have been impacted by the criminal justice system. And one thing that's great about these lives is like talking about not only talking about the hard stuff, but talking about all the different ways that we can really introduce protective factors for our youth, for our children, for our adults, for us to be able to make sure that we all live a really good life, right? So
Absolutely.
today I'm so happy to have you on. Um, yeah, so you know what? You want me to read a little bit about you, Randa? Or you want to tell people? All right, so I will do the honors and then you can tell me. So this is Randy Quansah. Randy Quansah is the host and founder of Cujo's Kid Zone. Cujo's Kid Zone is a YouTube program for children age 2 to 8, as well as parents, educators, and a larger community. The approach of Cujo's Kid Zone is based on early childhood education principles. So nature, the self, food, career, tech, language, and culture, all these things that we have to impart to our younger generation, mixed with reviews about social causes and issues such as racism, biases, stereotypes, Black culture. Right. And Randy, as the host of Cujo's Kid Zone, you bring a friendly, respectful, and cultural approach to teaching and learning, both in English and French, both national languages of Canada. So you definitely have a high degree of creativity, and it makes you a top draw online to inspire the next generation of leaders to be pillars in their community. And by day, Randy is a human resources professional, business instructor, as well as a motivator and champion for finding greatness in others. So Randy, welcome so much for joining us here on Keep Six, Connect the Six Live.
Wow. I felt like I'm entering the ring like a undefeated boxer, like 49-0, 49 knockouts. Wow, bring out the trumpet.
Yes. Well, definitely welcome. It's great to have you. So, yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and all of our viewers. We have people on. Our audience is usually super engaged. So, tell us a little about yourself.
Okay, well, thank you for having me and thank you for all that are watching. My name is Randy Quansah, and AKA Cujo is my alias with the Cujo's Kid Zone. And so my background is in human resources, and I have a daughter. She's 4 years old right now, and as a father of a child who is biracial, who's half African and half Latina, I'm always on the hunt for looking for various resources to instill identity, right? I think identity is very important. So there was a particular time when I was with my nephew, and we were in Edmonton, and they were watching like children opening up gifts and watching other people that were doing just really, really silly things. And I was just like, wow, there's just a lack of, educational entertainment. And then when I looked further and I started to ask myself other questions, one of the questions I started asking myself is that, hey, when was the last time I had seen somebody of color involved in a role like that? So I started seeing there was a potential for a lane to be formed in a niche to be capitalized on. And when I started sharing
Definitely.
my idea, yeah, when I started sharing my idea and it started growing more and more, I started realizing that, hey, you know what, there could be a way of making education fun. Because, the last time you see anybody in a very similar role would be like a LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow back in the day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, so then, I'm a first generation Canadian, so I'm African. Like my parents are from West Africa. I was born and raised in Montreal, Quebec, and I currently reside in Calgary, Alberta. And holding on and embracing your culture is something that's really extremely important when you're kind of juggling living in a Canadian culture. It's really important to also embrace and identify self, right? So this show is also a way for me to also embrace and also share my heritage, as being my parents are from West Africa, from Ghana. So
Right.
what I wanted to do is, from the name Cujo, the name even in itself means somebody that's born on a Monday, right? And my
Mhm.
characters, the puppets, Kweku and Adjoa is a female born on a Monday, and Kweku is a boy that's born on a Wednesday. So we have this kind of system that we name the children by the days of the week. So you hear like a guy from the UN, Kofi Annan, automatically I know that's somebody born on a Friday, right? If they're
Right.
following tradition. Anyway, so that's even things like that, even amongst people in the Black community, if you're not from that particular culture, you won't even know. And that's just another way
Very
to
true.
also embrace and get connected into African culture, right? Or one aspect of
Mhm.
African culture, right? And I figured that, hey, if Dora the Explorer can share and have millions of children around the world embrace South American and Latin culture, I think it's high
Yes.
time that people also embrace and understand Black culture and African culture, right? So that's where it stemmed from. That's where kind of everything originated.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So yeah, tell us, I mean, you already went in there, but tell us a bit more about Cujo's Kid Zone, right? You talk about like with the puppets and everything. So
Yeah.
what does Cujo do? Like, tell us about the show, the
Okay.
concept, all
Okay.
of it.
Hey, I'm going to tell you about the show. I'm going to tell
Let's
you about
go
the
there.
show.
Let's
Okay.
go there.
So the show is the show is for it's geared for children between the ages of 2 and 8, and I have the puppets Ajo and Kweku, which are a owl and a African gray parrot, to kind of symbolize the curiosity of children, right? The questions that they may have, and as a result of that, we tell stories. We go into kind of do it yourself, like science experiments, right? So, things you can have around the house without breaking the bank, right? I think it's important, as a parent, and you can probably definitely understand this as well. You're a working parent. By the time you finish work, you get your child, you have a chat about how the day went. The day is gone, and this goes from Monday to Friday. And if your child is in extracurricular activities, then hey, forget about seeing your child ever. So then these teachers and these coaches have a better feel and understanding of your children's emotions and things that they're going through than you do as a parent. And you have this kind
Right.
of guilt complex where it's like, no, 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 no. I have to throw my children or my child into various activities because I want to present them opportunities that I never had. But really, your
Yep.
child is screaming for having a relationship with you. So a lot of
Yeah.
the science experiments are things that I do with my daughter. Like, we do like elephant toothpaste, um, kind of showing that, hey, there's chemical reactions that do happen, right? So I talk about everything. So nature science, social justice issues as well, especially right now with the climate that's happening globally, with everybody
Yes.
starting to develop a little bit more of a consciousness of different issues that are pertaining to marginalized communities. It's great to talk about that on a surface level to children, because they hear things. They hear things when we're at home. They hear things in
Of
the car.
course.
They hear things on television, and they know more than what we perceive them to think that they might know, right? So
Very true.
it's just a way of talking about sensitive topics in ways that are palatable for children to understand, and for you as a parent to start these surface level conversations to get gears in motion for when they get older, and we can tackle on some this subject or whatever in more detail, right? So Black Lives Matter was an episode that we had done. We had done
Yeah.
one on pride.
Yeah.
And these are, these are topics that are sensitive not only for people within the Black community, but people that are from other kinds of community. And one of the things that I've always heard from a lot of different parents is that I'm looking for tools on how to talk to my children about various topics that are very extremely difficult, but I don't want to look silly in the process, you know?
Yes.
So this is a tool that really stemmed from myself in terms of like, hey, how am I going to even have this conversation with my daughter, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't thinking of having it this early, but with everything that's been happening, I thought that this would be an excellent opportunity for her to understand her identity and to also embrace it and embrace her uniqueness, and then also equipping her with what would happen and what does that look like in an interaction where someone may not like you because of the way that you look, and how for
Yeah.
you to feel empowered and standing firm and embracing your uniqueness, right? And I think that's something that not only is prevalent in the Black community, but it's prevalent in a lot of communities of color, right? So I think it's important. And then also on the flip side, for
Yeah.
parents that don't necessarily belong to the Black community, it's a way for their children to start to understand things within the Black community, and also how they can become allies um,
Yes.
in this ongoing fight for bringing greater equality um,
Yes.
to marginalized communities.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? I really like how you said that, because it's not only about us as Black parents speaking with our children. I mean, yes, of course, that's important because we have to equip our children with the ways in which they are going to be seen in the world. However, we also have to equip the world to start seeing our Black children as that we belong, that we're here, that we matter. Right. And your show very much geared towards, children from 2 to 8, but within that age frame, starting the conversations.
Absolutely, and that's just one aspect, right?
Yeah.
It's important. I think that like, excuse me.
Mhm.
I think it's important that as much as we entertain our children with various science and silly activities that we can involve them in, it's really important to start having conversations about the world around them. Not to the point where they become jaded or have a bias, but just to start off these conversations. And a lot of parents, myself included, lacking tools and resources. So, through research and then also looking at other avenues and streams to gather this information, so I can also equip not only myself with knowledge, but then also pass it down over to my daughter, and then of course the audience at large, right? And there's
Yeah.
a lot of parents that don't belong to the Black community that are like, hey, thank you so much for doing the Black Lives Matter episode, because now I have a tool and a resource that I can use to talk to my own children of what that looks like in terms of race. And then also educating themselves, because one of the biggest things is that some people are oblivious to what's going on. Some people see what's going on, but then it's, well, what can I do about it? So this
Mm.
particular episode was like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can do in terms of not
Mhm.
only educating yourself, but also using yourself as a platform. Statistically,
Yeah.
the last time that I had checked was that there's 13.5% of the population in the United States are Black, and roughly 4% of the population here in Canada is Black. So that means that if
Yeah.
every single Black person is on board with everything that's going on, it's still not enough. You need to have
Yeah.
allies, right?
Yes.
So then
True.
you're holding on to 4%. And if you shun everybody else out, you're missing on 96% of other people that could be involved as an ally to propel real change in a
Yeah.
system that was built on years of oppression.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Thank you. Thank you for that. And that's true. I mean, I love that you pulled into statistics because we may not think about the statistics because it may be that in my circle, I'm surrounded primarily with other people who look like me and walk like me. But if you really look at the statistics throughout the whole country, 4%,
It's not a lot.
right? We can't expect the 4% of
To do all
us
the
that
work.
we are included in to do all the education.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? So by, for example, you starting young with those in your show, and then going forward, where the parents could start having some information on how to teach other children, nieces and nephews, and things like that, and even the older generations. That's where we start. That's how change
Oh,
starts.
I'm gonna tell you something straight up. Like
Yeah.
when I was roughly six years old. Okay, on my
Yeah.
first 6, 7 years old, my first day of school. I'm in a new neighborhood. I go to a new school, and I'm standing in line, and there's this Caucasian kid that is surrounded with two East Indian kids, and they drop the N-bomb on me, and they're laughing,
Mm.
and I didn't even know what it meant, but I knew it was some kind of an insult. So here I am,
Yeah.
going back home, and being like, okay, how was your first day at school? And like, oh, well, we got some really nice teachers. The gym is bigger. Um, yeah, and it's close to home. So yeah, it's a pretty good deal. By the way, what is the N? Blah, blah, blah. My brother and sister looked at me like, oh, it's about to go down, right?
Mm.
Right? And then that was the beginning of my own journey in terms of my own identity, right? My parents are
Yeah.
West
Yeah.
African, so when they were living in Ghana, everyone looks like them. So there isn't this
Yeah.
particular issue in terms of race, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
as you get older and you mature, I've been called all kinds of crazy things, but at that time, I'm equipped and I know how to stick handle and navigate it. But the
Mm.
moment that always hurts the
Yeah.
most was that
Yeah.
day. That day hurt
Yeah.
the most. Even when I think
Yes.
about it, I
Because it
get
was the first time.
it was the first time, and I didn't know how to react and respond. It's like almost like you're in a battle of mama jokes or something, and you run out of like ammunition. You run out of jokes to tell. You're kind of out there, and you're at a loss
Yeah.
of words, right?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And when I talk to my daughter and have conversations with her, I start off. I'm like, okay, what is skin? What is melanin? Right?
Mm.
Why do
Mm.
people have different shades in terms of their skin tone? What does that mean? And
Yeah.
then what is racism? What is privilege? Right?
Mm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
what can we do in order to ensure other people um, are feel better and they don't feel that they're being picked on? Right? Surface
Yeah.
level conversation. And so now
Yeah.
I talk to my daughter. I see her. I'm like, baby, what is melanin? Melanin is because, some people in different parts of the world have a darker and lighter complexion, and that allows them to absorb the sun. Okay. What is
Yeah.
privilege? Privilege is like, let's say you have long hair, and all the people that have long hair can play with a certain toy, but all the people with short hair can't play with this toy.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
How much depth did I go into the core issue? But it's surface level
It's the.
at a
It's the.
level.
Yeah.
You understand, at a level that they
Yeah.
can grasp and understand. We took
Yeah.
something
At
that was
that
very,
age.
yeah, we took something that was very extremely difficult to break down, that has all kinds of various implications around it, and we broke
Mm-hmm.
it down to a level that a child can understand. And if we
Yes. A
equip
4-year
parents,
old child. Yep.
absolutely, and if we equip parents with this notion and this knowledge, it makes it easier for them to tackle other kind of social injustices that are happening, and that's definitely one avenue that my show aims to tackle. And being like, listen, you know what? Let's get our children woke.
Yeah.
Let's get them. Let's get them right now, because everything happens. All these protests are all fantastic, but then when everything finishes, now what? What's the next step? Other people
Exactly.
have used different platforms. I chose to use this particular platform as a
Yeah.
way of making sure that when our children get older and they come across a person who is East Indian or Black or of an Asian descent, that they are hip to that person's culture, and they're also hip to the things that are concerns to that particular culture, and it's normalized. It's like whatever. The same thing
Yeah.
too when it comes to people and the different sexual orientation that they may have. That they're just hip and it's like a nothing. It's like a whatever. It's just like a normal sunny day. It's like nothing,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what the aim is, right? To just to get these, because right now with the things and the climate and the things that are happening in the world, it's going to be very difficult to untrain someone's previous biases, okay? But if we get them
Mm-hmm.
from when they're young and they
Yes.
don't develop these, because where do they get it from? They get it from us. They get it from their parents, right?
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
kid that dropped the N, how are you going to know the real implications of that word at, at 6 or 7 years old? You've
Yeah.
heard it
Very true. Very
with
true.
your parents or whatever, and then it became of you. But if we teach them, we get them now, those are
Hmm.
going to be the future presidents and the global ambassadors of tomorrow. So this is why
Right.
I'm very extremely invested in using
Yeah.
this particular platform.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that. So do you feel that the educational system that our children are currently in, adequately attends to the needs of children and youth?
You want the real answer? You want the
I
generic
want,
answer?
yeah, we are very
Okay,
real and
here,
open here on Keep
okay.
Six.
You asked for it. Here it comes. Um, I think that there are elements of the educational system that are very extremely broken and that need to be addressed and they need to be fixed.
Mm,
And the only somewhat saving grace that I have is that because my parents are West African, I can go and I can venture onto a KLM flight tomorrow and jump in. Well, probably not tomorrow because this whole COVID thing, but like
COVID.
I can, but I can jump in and go to the motherland and
Yeah,
and have that connection. Okay,
yeah,
and vice versa for you. You can go over to the Caribbean and whoop. But
yeah.
there's a lot of people that are second, third, fourth generation Canadians that are here that don't necessarily have that same connection and the ability to form that
Yeah.
connection.
Right.
And the issue around people, it's around identity.
Yes.
It's an identity crisis. So
Yeah.
if you grow up in the school system and it's told from a very Eurocentric standpoint, where they're the heroes and the heroines in every single invention and every single discovery and
Mm.
every aspect. You turn on the television and every single show and a lot of the different high skilled level jobs that are there. You pick up a magazine and the top 10 and 15 people don't look like you,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you go to work and it's like, oh, you're discouraged from having your hair a particular way. You're
Mm-hmm.
discouraged from all these things. They play into your identity and your
They do.
self-worth. And
Yes.
for that,
Yes.
I think it's very extremely
Yes.
broken. And also the standpoint, not only for the Black community, for the indigenous community, and for
Yes.
various marginalized community as well. Because North
Yes.
America is really a melting pot for a variety of different cultures. It's the
Mm.
contributions of a lot of different cultures that have made North America to what it is right now. So if we're
Yeah,
going to have
exactly.
it as a melting pot for a variety of different cultures, we also have to represent those cultures that have contributed to making what North America is. Granted, we have our share of issues and what have you, but it could be a very extremely beautiful thing in terms of having this unity and this acknowledgement of the
Yes.
contributions and the many contributions, you know, of
Yeah.
so many different cultures and so many different historical figures that have made this what it is right now.
Yes.
This, yeah, for that, yeah, it does need a reform. Absolutely.
And yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Definitely, definitely. So I know you spoke a little bit about speaking with your daughter about some of these hard topics. What advice do you have for parents to speak to their young children about race, racism, Black Lives Matter? Also preparing for the racial bullying in school because you went through it, right? And you spoke a little bit about that. Do you have any other ways that you would encourage parents to speak to their children about racial bullying at school?
They can start off by going on YouTube and watching my show.
Right, right.
And yes, and they can look up the Black Lives Matter, and it provides a lot of different tools. But all kidding aside, it's just having the conversation. If you have dirty dishes in your sink and you don't attend to them, you're going to get fruit flies and bacteria and a whole lot of funk coming through your whole house. And that's just the way it is. Okay? If you don't address the issues that are around you, all kidding aside, but let's be real. If you
Yeah,
don't
let's be
address
real. Yeah.
if you don't address the issues that are happening around you, you will be ill-equipped when you are faced with an encounter of how you need to proceed, and you will come home and you're going to feel absolutely defeated. Um, you're going to come back absolutely defeated. And I think it's important in terms of having a self. It's not about oh, my race or my culture is the best culture in the world. No, it's not at all. It's about embracing yourself and also standing firm. And if you're not from a particular, and it doesn't even have to be about race. It could be if you have a disability, if you belong to a
Yeah.
different sexual orientation, if you, whatever that, you speak a different language, whatever that looks like, we should all feel comfortable. If we witness something that is wrong, to have the courage
Yes.
and the knowledge to intervene and be like,
Yes.
hey, that's not a good look by you picking on this person who has a disability. Hey, that's not a really good look in terms of you discriminating against somebody because this person is a female, you know? And that goes across the board. Hey, it's not a good look for this person being discriminated against because they come from the indigenous community, right? If we all use our platform to intervene, and I know it's kumbaya, but it's the reality of the matter. If we all use our platform in whatever capacity to do our part in intervening and stepping in for people that are at a different vantage standpoint, the world would look very vastly different than what it looks like right now.
Right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah. That's very true. So let's pivot here. So what are some of the challenges? And you and I had a conversation a bit about this. So what are some of the challenges that you faced as a Black male with your locks
Yeah.
working to educate children and youth, right? You were telling me about like the intersectionality of a Black
Uh,
male. Tell me a
yeah.
bit more about that.
It's nuts. There's so many different toxic stigmas behind Black men, period.
Yeah.
And there's even further stigmas involving men that choose to embrace their heritage and their culture and their Afrocentric identity, right? Whether it's locks, whether it's braids, whether it's an afro or what have you. We've seen already what that looks like on the side of a female in terms of going and not being embraced and going in the corporate world and having to have a weave, having to straighten your hair, having to do all kinds of things, right?
Mm, mm,
And what essentially is being said without being said is that things that are super unnatural for your hair to do or for your culture, period, are not really embraced in this environment. I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna kind of ask you without asking you to have your pat your hair because it feels like it's on fire because you're putting all kinds of products in your hair and embrace an identity that is not your own, just
Yeah.
in order for you to fit in and just for you to still be discriminated against. I find that
Yeah.
quite humorous.
So true. That's so
So,
true. I like how you said that. Yeah.
And then it goes also to the, you know, a lot of times people, they see me with my locks and they associate locks with criminal behavior
Mm.
and lower levels of education. Listen, it's like I have my bachelor's in human resources and relations. I
Mm-hmm.
have my associate, my certificate in terms of being an HR practitioner. I have that.
Yeah.
I'm
You
currently
also
working.
teach at a college.
I teach at a college. It's funny, you know. Even my students,
Yeah.
before going into the class, I walk in with them, and they think I'm a student. And then
Yeah.
when I stand in the front of the class, it's like they have this look of shock that a
Yes.
person that looks like me could be in this particular role as an educator, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And you know, you have to you can't take it necessarily to heart. And I think within having a conversation with me in like 5 minutes, you're going to understand very quickly that the stigmas that you might have had
Mm.
don't necessarily apply to me. You know, I'm a person that I'm constantly looking at self improvement. I'm constantly researching, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm an educated guy. You know, I'm not just. And when I don't understand something, it's okay. It's fine. That's why I had
Yeah.
that whole advisory board to make sure that when I'm talking about various subjects and themes, that the information I'm providing is factual and it's
Yes.
accurate, and
Yeah.
it's at the right level to talk with kids that are at that age demographic, right? So I find one of the things, not only being a black male but also a male involved in early childhood education, that
Mm.
when I go to people, I'll go to I don't know, I'm walking down the street or what have you, and I see a couple that have like two young kids or something. I'll be like, hey, how are you? How old are your kids? 3 and 2. Like what do you want? Like what do you want,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, you know, I have a daughter. She's 4. She's like the same size as your daughter. I have a
Mm.
show for kids. It's on YouTube. And then they get the card and they're
Mm.
kind of like speechless. And then
Yeah.
I noticed the
But
difference when I asked
speechless while still trying to figure out what your deal is.
what my deal is, right? And
Mm.
then when I have my daughter with me, it facilitates it. It makes it much easier. If we're hanging out or something and I come across and I have a conversation, it makes it easier because, okay, now you see me in my parental role. But
Mm.
had I been a
Mm.
woman and approached that same couple, it would have been like, oh, hey, what's going on? Hashtag we're parents. Ah, you know, it would
Yeah.
be
Right.
totally,
Selfies.
yeah, selfies would be a totally different vibe. So there's the battle, of course, of race. There's the battle, of
Mm.
course, of gender, and
Yes.
and it's a constant thing. But when you see the vibe of the show, and you understand where my heart and my passion is at, then you understand that I'm really extremely passionate about
Yeah.
our youth and youth advocacy.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you know, you speak of being a black male and the challenges to be in this industry. So why is cultural representation so important for you and for the black males? I mean, I know for my son, he watches the show, and you know, the funny thing is with my son, he has asked me questions about, Mama, how come there's no boy teachers? And how come there's no boy, like in his school, right? How come there's no boy teachers? He's like, I like to teach, I like to help other people. How come there's no boy teachers? So I love the fact that you have your show because here is my little boy where I can put him in front of your show and say, okay, look, here's Cujo, who is a boy like you and a boy with beautiful brown skin like you, and he's teaching you something, right? It's so
Absolutely,
important to have that
absolutely.
representation, right?
It
Especially as a parent and as a black parent. So tell me a bit about what does that mean to you, and why is it important for you as a black male to be to have your show and to represent black males?
it means a whole lot of different things. The I think also, you know, males in general, when it comes to their role in the family unit, is very much undermined. Listen,
Yeah.
let me set the record straight. women do a lot of things within the family unit, and I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But men also play a very important role in the family unit as well. And this is stats. Something like, if you don't have a positive father figure in your life, as you are 4 times more likely to get impregnated. You 7 father figures that are present in their life, you know, and positive male role models, and they're also more likely to end up being incarcerated, right? So we understand and we know the implications of not having positive male and father figures in your life. But, you know, a lot of times within television, within media, men are portrayed as being kind of this Neanderthal role of like, honey, I need you to get milk. Okay. And he goes and he gets milk. It's 1%. Honey, I asked you for 2%. You only came with 1%. You know nothing, you know, and it goes a long way into the subconsciousness of what people think the role of male figures are in the family unit. And based on the statistics that I've told you and I shared with you, we see that that is actually really different. Now, fast forward to why is it important to see male role models? Because when you see, you do. It opens up the doors of possibility. I remember when I first started working at the bank, and I didn't see anybody that looked like me. And then there was this one guy that looked like me, and he was like, "Wow, this guy looked fantastic in the suit. He was very extremely professional. Outside of work, he was a very high energy, likable, charming guy." And somebody entering into that, I was like, I want to be like that guy. I want to be exactly like that guy. That guy has his stuff together. He's respected, and he's fantastic at the job that he does. Who wouldn't want to embrace something like that? So when, you know, going back to the whole thing with when you see positive models that are around you, it helps a lot. It helps, like, I can do this. I can be an engineer. I can be a lawyer. I can be a doctor. I can be a psychologist. I can be whatever it is. When you see that, it just opens it up. And I'm really, really happy. And that with the growth of the show and the more people start tuning in, that this will hopefully serve as an avenue for people to look at and being like, hey, I can be an educator. I can be a catalyst in my community. I can be a person that stands for particular morals or values or whatever that looks like. You can, right? It's just that you can. And if this is the blueprint that needs to be created to pave that way for other kids to feel and be empowered that they can, by all means, let's go ahead and do it. Let's move and push forward.
Okay, yeah, for sure. We have a great comment here by Richard Miller, who's the founder and creator of Keep Six. He says, one second. Well, okay, he says, we must understand Black youths don't have Black male figures to give them positive views on life. And yes, that's exactly what Randy was saying. And this is exactly it. It's like, we need more positive Black males do this. Right, showing us and showing like how you spoke so passionately about the guy at the bank. Like, it's encrypted in your mind that if he can do it, so can I.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's super important. And again, statistically shown that even through different races, that it's an issue. With Caucasian people, it's up to 20% of father figures. In Hispanic community, 31%, but in the Black community, 57%. That's very high. It's huge, right? And if you are having individuals that haven't had father figures, positive father figures with them, then the cycle continues that they pass on to their children and what have you. And we need to
Yeah.
break that we need to break that cycle.
Yeah. It
And
becomes a generational cycle.
yeah, it becomes a generational cycle. And it's important that we break that cycle. And then and it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be that, hey, you have to be in a 4-bedroom house and a picket fence and be
Hmm.
in a perfect family or a perfect marriage. I myself, I'm not married. I'm divorced. But
Hmm.
still, one thing that is really extremely important is that I made the decision, the conscious decision, that I want to be in my daughter's life. And
Right.
it's
Right.
really important that I'm involved in my daughter's life because I
Yeah.
understand the importance of having a male figure that's around that you can call at any time. I can go and visit you. We talk, we chop it up, we play, we
Yeah.
giggle, we do all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
I think it's really important for the world also to see Black men in a very extremely different role. Though
Yes.
be I can be this early childhood educator, I can also turn it get into also my masculine frame as well. This really toxic level of masculinity associated with Black men. And actually what really helped me a lot to understand this is that when I had my daughter, I understood that you can love and support for your children and
Mm.
still be a disciplinarian when you need to, but still have that component of love and that place of love. And I think sometimes we also even get caught up in that cycle in terms of no, 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 you got to be tough, you got to be Superman, you got to be Superwoman, or what have you. But I think the show is going to be really good in terms of challenging those ideas of what that looks like in terms of masculinity. Because I can tell you that, hey, I can let my guard down and I can be silly and I can talk about things and I can educate, but at the same time too, when things need to go down, I can also enter into my masculine frame and handle what I have to handle.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. And you spoke about being divorced, and you and I spoke a little bit about of the road to redemption, right? And you speak openly about your about being divorced, having failed marriage, being a single father, and also the impact of family member being incarcerated. So, do you want to speak a little bit more on this?
Of sorry of
So yeah, so you spoke about being divorced, being a single father, how important that is, right? And also when you and I are speaking, we're speaking a little bit about how it could have an impact on a family member being incarcerated and that road to redemption, basically that road to redemption, right? Do you want to speak more on
Okay.
that?
Yeah, I can definitely talk about being a father and also having my daughter, and having to definitely look within and have that growth. Um,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
think in terms of how that plays, in terms of like, I think we've all have known people that have gone and veered in a different path and strayed in a different direction. And those moments, there's pivotal moments in your life where you can either succumb to the pressures around you and end up being potentially incarcerated, or you can um, find and surround yourself with positive models around you to rise above the temptations and the things that are around. And I think it's important awareness, but a lot of times there's a lot of people that don't necessarily have somebody to have heart-to-heart conversations, and also to put you or steer you in the right path. And I think where this show comes in and where it can be very extremely helpful and successful is that
Mm.
I think it can um, act as a guide and as a tool to steer youth in a positive direction, not only with the words that I'm saying, but also through various actions, right? And then equipping with the knowledge that they're going to learn from their show, and also the family unit. I know grandparents that like, okay, gotta go. And, you know, your parents, of course, they love you and they support you, but it's important to think about issues that might be a little bit different, activities that, you know, your kids want to do with you, right? And this is why I do a lot of these do-it-yourself projects that you can do at your house. And really, all it really stems from is for parents to duplicate these activities with their children, so that way they can spend quality time and be the heroes and the heroines in their own child's life and open up that platform, that dialogue of conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. There's a couple of people who were commenting and saying, yes, we have to start to overcome trauma that we are carrying. Look within and focus on being the best you can. Definitely. You got some thumbs up, some claps. TP Swift D said, very, very true. Right. So yeah, people are definitely resonating with what you're saying. If anyone has any questions for myself or for Randy, please feel free. We have about 10 minutes or so. So please get your questions, your comments in. We are here with Randy Quansah from Cujo's Kids Zone. Cujo's Kids Zone is on YouTube. Definitely follow and subscribe. Cujo's Kids Zone on YouTube. So Randy, I guess as we're winding down and starting to wrap up, we definitely spoke of the stigma of the role of Black men, the stigma of the role of Black fathers. What is your message, if you have a message, to fathers out there looking to be more of a present father figure and to educate and help children? What is your message to fathers?
My message is this, is that for the fathers that are actively in their children's lives, continue doing that. However, for the fathers that aren't necessarily as active or play an active role in their children's life, is that, you know what, let us help each other, okay? Like I was talking about in terms of having allies. If 4% of the population in Canada is Black, you still need to gather the support of the other 6%. If there's a certain percentage of Black men that are doing their fatherly duties and they're actively in their child's life, we have to also help the other men that are not necessarily active and not vilify them. Vilifying anybody doesn't bring any kind of a solution to a pre-existing problem. What we need to do is we need to leverage our experiences and leverage our knowledge to those fathers that are out there that are not necessarily involved, whether that's because of situations with their relationship or things that they're going through personally, that it's not too late. Try to make an effort to reestablish that relationship. It's going to be not going to be a walk in the park, but your children need you. And stats are out there and they don't lie. It is what it is. You're needed. We need your involvement. You know, this is a movement. It's a movement not only for culture, it's a movement for a male gender, and it's a movement, I think, right now for our current generation, that we need to move away from previous trauma, and we need to deal with the issues within our community and challenge ourselves to be better versions of what we are.
I think we're.
Any other questions?
Are you there? Yeah, we're losing you. I got pieces of but yeah, thank you, Randy, for that. So how do you want how would you like your show to impact your daughter? Right, you speak a lot about being a father and a Black father. How would you like your show to impact your daughter?
That's my baby right there. That's my heart. I would like for her, of course, you know, to be proud of seeing daddy and being like, that's my daddy, you know, and I have pride in that. and then
Yeah.
also for her to gain from the knowledge of the show, in terms of having dialogue. I use the show also to have dialogue with my daughter on touchy subjects, and
Yeah.
just for us, a lot of the experiments and things we do, we've done it before. We do it still, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, just to continue to be like, to have a sense of pride, to have a sense of pride, and being
Mm.
like, that's my daddy. My daddy is on the road to building a legacy for our family name. And
Yes.
you can be proud that when you hear that's my dad. That's my father.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Richard says, we as Blacks, we need to learn to help each other stand up as a community for our children. Yes, absolutely. Rachel saying it takes a village, definitely. Rachel put hashtag girl dad. Yes, definitely, definitely. Your little one is your heart. So Randy, you know what? Where do you see yourself in the future? Like what do you see yourself in 5 years for you, for the show?
Okay, 5 years from now, I'm
Yes. Tell
walking
me
on
your
stage.
legacy. Tell me.
5 years from now, I'm walking on stage to receive my doctorate diploma that I didn't have to pay tuition for. Because of the success of the show. In all honesty, 5 years from
Yeah.
now, I hope that the show becomes syndicated and it becomes very accessible, not only for children in North America, but for
Yeah.
children around the world. And I hope that it serves as a tool that is
Yeah.
an educational device for parents to continue their self growth as well. It's not just children that need to learn, it's parents as well,
Yeah.
right? Learning
True.
doesn't stop because you hit 18 and you become an adult. Learning is
Mm.
something that
Mm.
is a continuous thing. It's not just for
Continue.
kids, it's for
Yes.
you,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So it just becomes more and more accessible. And I'm looking at doing some charitable organization within Cujo once a month in going to different communities, children that are terminally ill, um,
There, did we lose you?
shops out in the community. And I think it's important for children to see that it's not a community, that it's about also giving back. And I would like to give back. I would love that. Actor. I'm not a person that had any experience in film. I don't have any experience in early childhood education, but I learned and I read and I still continue to develop, because what is at hand is greater than the things that I'm ill equipped with. Over time,
Mm.
when I'm faced with those situations, I will have to rise to the occasion and equip myself with education and experience in order to make that impact in our community. So whatever you are not right now, it's okay. It doesn't even matter, because when you go through those situations, you'll become the person you need to be.
Ooh, I love that. I mean, I can't say anything more. Like you wrapped that up beautifully, right? So we are hoping for you. We are praying for you. We are supporting you.
Thank
Everyone
you.
here, yes, definitely. You know I support. You know you got my
Thank you.
support. From the moment when you called me, you're like, Tash, I got this idea. I'm like, okay, tell me, tell me, tell me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right?
Thank
Because,
you.
and that's one thing that I love. You know, you and I, we've known each other for quite a long time. I call you my motherland cousin. And
Can I
right,
come?
and
Yeah.
definitely this is definitely how we have to support each other and help each other thrive, because we are a village. We are a
No,
village, and we have to create that village mentality, because that's what we come from. That's what our ancestors wanted for us. We have to start taking it back.
absolutely. It's like when you have a scarcity mindset, you think that
Mm,
every single opportunity or every single situation is like mine and mine alone. That if
mm,
somebody else comes in the picture, they present competition, they present a threat. And this is
yeah.
something that has been indoctrinated into the Black mindset. And
Mm.
it's no, we need to have a abundance, thinking that there's plenty of opportunities for everyone else. And if it just provides as another way of being able to somebody else into another role or use their platform to make another kind of an impact, right? You're a
Yeah.
psychologist, right?
Yeah.
You're somebody that I definitely had reached out to when I wanted to form my advisory board. And look
Yeah.
at that. We have a partnership,
Yeah.
leveraging ideas, leveraging knowledge, and vice versa, that you can come to me and ask me about anything, and vice versa. And we should have it. Being able to rely and count on each other to bring each other up, instead of having this crab bucket mentality of tearing each other down.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, Richard Miller from Keep Six, the founder of Keep Six, says, thanks, Cujo, for being a part of Keep Six, Connect the Six. Very empowering. Definitely, yeah, thumbs up. We got some claps going on. Definitely. Thank you. Randy, thank you so much for
Get out
agreeing
of
to
here.
do this.
Thank you for having me. I really much appreciate you having me as a guest, and I feel extremely honored. And all the best to you. And of course, Keep Six. Like, we need platforms like this to talk about various issues. So awesome. I'm over the moon to be here. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Randy, take this opportunity. Keep Six has a big following on Instagram. Tell
Okay.
everybody who you are, where to find
Okay.
you. Go.
So this is the deal, okay? Go to YouTube right now. Put your food down, put your fork down, go on YouTube and subscribe to Cujo's Kid Zone on YouTube. And there's plenty of shows that are out there. There's plenty of items, tools for yourself and your children. Go to www.cujoskidzone.com to find out more about myself and my puppeteers and the lovely Miss Madison, who reads books and plays music. This is what's popping. This is what's going on. And if you're not really with it, then missing out. You're not part of the trend. Go on to YouTube and
Yeah, so everyone, you heard that. Subscribe. Go to Cujo's Kid Zone on YouTube. Click and subscribe. Click
yes,
and
subscribe.
subscribe and follow
Yes.
Cujo's Kid Zone right here on Instagram. Thank you so much again, Randy, for being here, for the support, for all the love that you show to the community. I thank you to all the viewers. People are saying, great job, thumbs up. Yes, thank you so much to all our viewers. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this Keep Six community. I am Natasha Pennycook. I am your co-host. My co-host, Rachel. Thank you, Rachel, for having my six. And everyone at home, stay tuned for next week, as we will be back talking about back to school, talking about the hard stuff with our children and youth. So everyone, sending you peace, love, and blessings. Good night, everybody. Good night, good night, good night. Thank you, Randy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome anytime. Thank you. Good night, everyone. I don't think we had any other questions. That was Cujo's Kid Zone. Definitely subscribe on YouTube, subscribe here on Instagram. And again, I'll wish you guys all good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you again. Follow us, Keep Six. Definitely join us next Wednesday, 7 o'clock, right here on Instagram. We'll be back for more talking to children and youth about the hard stuff. Bye, everyone. Good night.